When I throw this egg, the force of my hand causes it to gain velocity. The egg now has momentum. Momentum is the quantity of motion an object has, or put another way, its mass in motion. You can calculate it by multiplying the mass and velocity together. We use velocity rather than speed because momentum is a vector quantity. The formula looks like this. P, which stands for momentum, equals mass multiplied by the velocity. If the egg weighs 0.057 kilograms and its velocity is 26 meters per second, what is its momentum? We multiply the mass times the velocity and we find that its momentum is 1.5 kilograms times meters per second. Now that we know how to measure momentum, let's look at the physics of why the egg breaks against the wall and not the sheet. Yes, the sheet is softer, but we're looking for a way to quantify what's happening. In order to do that, we also need to know what impulse is when we're talking about physics. Impulse is the product of the force acting on an object over the time during which the force acts. The impulse-momentum theorem is just another way of looking at Newton's second law of motion. The acceleration in the second law becomes a change in velocity over time in the theorem. In order for an object's momentum to change, a force must be applied for a period of time. This is known as an object's impulse. The theorem says that the impulse applied to an object is equal to the change in momentum of an object. The impulse can be a larger force over a short period of time or a smaller force over a longer period of time, or some other combination of force and time. You can start to see where we're going with this. When I throw the egg against the wall, what can we say about the impulse involved? It's a large force over a short period of time because it hit the wall and its momentum was stopped abruptly. When I throw the egg against a sheet, do you think the force is small or large? It's a weaker force applied over a longer period of time because the sheet gives. Even though the impulse is the same as when we throw it against the wall, the egg will not break because it experiences a smaller force. And that's the difference between throwing an egg against a wall and against a sheet. The egg experiences the same impulse in both cases, but the stopping time when it hits the sheet is much larger than when it hits the wall. By increasing the stopping time, the force required to stop the egg is decreased. Let's look at how athletes use momentum and impulse through an activity called parkour.